I met Brynn probably, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
She made me look like an absolute rock star because I sold a house before it even hit the market because she had done the first that my market had seen, and it was like what you guys are all seeing on TikTok where they go like this and then like something's bare and then the whole thing's done.
Before TikTok.
And it was amazing. And I walked in, and part of my job is like creating experiences. Like we sell brick and mortar. I mean, I'm a housewife that sells houses. It's just not that like, wow, you're really setting the world on fire. But you know, I'm married, I have 4 kids, and part of that was like, let me tell you what your life is going to look like in this house. And when I walked into the house that she had literally beautifully executed this whole programming, and the music was playing and the flowers were done, and of course Jay Jordan, I have to give her a nod, Julie Luggs is one of my builders, and she was the first one that really did that and held it close to the vest, and we like actually like unveiled it, and I was the first one to come in, and it's hard to get my jaw to drop. I've seen a lot of stuff.
So
and
generous.
It
so
was
nice.
like I mean, I brought Steve McKenna in, okay? For those of you that know, my husband's like, don't call me into any of your junk. I was like, oh my God. It was the first time I was like, I want to move. I want to do this.
And that makes my heart so full.
It was
Love
amazing.
It.
And what was cool about Brynn is when you go into something, it feels like it's so like done and oh my gosh. And then you meet Brynn and you think, wow, you know, you're from the South and you can tell you're so humble. So I want to ask her like 2 big questions, you guys. 1, what she thinks is trending, and 2, what sets her apart. I do recommend a lot of designers. It becomes a little bit of, like I always say, an art and a science, but like a personality and like who do you trust and who gets your jam.
It's a relationship.
Yes. It is.
Yes.
And I think that you're so humble, so I know this is going to be hard for you to say what sets you apart. She never wants to hurt anybody's feelings. She always wants to, and that's what I think is so endearing about you. But I also think the spaces that you create make someone feel that, and it's an energy, and that's why I wanted Brynn to kick this off, because I had really great energy with you from the moment I met you, but it started before the moment that I met her, and it really actually kind of took a life of its own after I got to know her, so she's very easy for me to recommend. You really are.
Wow.
So there you go.
That kind of just, I'm like speechless.
No, you're so cute. She's just emotional. Okay, so let's talk about. Can I ask you this?
Sure.
Tell us your background.
Sure.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
What's your background?
Okay, so you are correct. I am an Alabama girl. I grew up in the South, and sometimes my drawl will come out. But so what's really interesting is that the South, people really revere their homes almost as much as their outfits or whatnot. And so I just grew up around really just all sorts of interesting styles, and everyone was just revered home a lot. So I think I didn't realize it until afterwards, but that really was my foundation. I always thought I'm a little like OCD neurotic, like left brain, and so I always thought that I was going to do something in the arts, but like I wanted to be a professor and whatnot. Wow. Anyway, life, just takes you in different turns, and I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to move to Chicago. Came to Chicago, didn't have a job, and basically figured out that I really did want to do interior design. It's something, like I said, I was infused with in my childhood. I didn't really know how it would be a business. I didn't know that part of it. Went back to school, and then at the same time decided to really get a job at the place where I wanted to learn the most. And so I was really, really fortunate to interview and get a job where I was there for almost 5 years with Nate Berkus Associates. And so that was what I call my best education ever, and learned everything that I know from him, from his 2 design principles. And then 9 years later, next month,
wow,
I will have opened my doors. So that's a little bit of my background.
It's an amazing background, and you guys can Google Nate Berkus, but he really, before I was a realtor, I was a decorator. I say that loosely. I wasn't a skilled master. I didn't have education.
I think I knew that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So, like,
I
this
just have
is
always had a
homes
good
are in
eye.
your blood.
Yes,
Like,
yes. I was a
Yeah.
flipper before that was before I knew I was a flipper. But I've always loved fashion. I've loved beauty. I love makeup. I like houses.
Yes.
I like color. And so I said, why not? And then, don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing apples to apples here. I could buy a handbag at the end of the year after I did help people. I mean, there's no big contribution to my family income for that, but I appreciate what you do. And I think you look at it differently. And I know this, having done it, that in order to scale, you can't necessarily invent the wheel every time.
Correct. Yeah,
But
yeah.
you've been really good at, you have a signature. I feel like she's like Phil Collins or Sting, you guys. Okay, where you hear them like on by the second note, you're like, oh yeah, that's Phil Collins, whatever. She's got a little signature. There's certain things that she does in all houses because she knows how much she loves it and how probably the client has loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little signature to Brynn Olson, I think. But I also think that's had to help you scale. Am I crazy?
Well, there's like a perfect trifecta, I feel like, to being scalable. First of all, you have to, like, before you even get into the design, the fluff, you just have to have a good business model in general. You have to be so organized. I say, like, there's so many creatives in this industry, but if you're not super, super organized, then that's where the experience, because we're just like you. We love to create that experience for our clients. And the experience is, we're the professionals. We do what we do best. We involve our clients in the things they have to be involved in. Like, I need to know what your loves and hates are. I need to know how you function every day. I need to know how you entertain. I need to know, like, I want to know what your habits are before you go to bed.
Yeah,
like, we get real intimate.
Yeah, right.
So I need to know all those things. And then, I also need to space plan. Then we also need to talk about budget before we can even touch design. And it's just having a very structured way that you approach every single project, no matter how big or how small it is, has made us really to be able to scale, because it keeps everyone on task, on budget, on deadline, and we execute our same 4-step process that is in a sequential order, so we don't have to go back and redo our stuff later. So having that business.
That's great.
Like,
you know what you just did?
What?
You know what you just did?
What?
She was worried about the question that I was going to ask her, what sets her apart, because she doesn't want to, she's Southern. Everything's peaceful. She's a peacemaker. She's a pleaser. She just answered her own question. In this world, and I know it, I have a lot of designers that are extremely powerful, extremely creative, and extremely great at what they do. But what I'm seeing now more than ever is dual income families. So mom and dad are working, or two partners are working full-time jobs. They have kids. It's a madhouse. I know this as a mother of 4 that I worked.
Yes.
And a lot of what people want right now is, will you get it done? Will you be on time? Will you be on budget? And how can you prove that to me? Show me your process. Give me your testimonials.
Yeah.
And it's probably the number one testimonial I've had from her is, that's what sets you apart. She's a machine, but you don't look like, your house doesn't look like everybody else's. It's not an assembly line. When she does things, and I gotta say, if you can do this, you should do it. She basically has you come in, sits you down, and she gets real intimate about your lifestyle.
I do.
Okay?
We know all the ins and outs.
Then you can come back, go on vacation, and come back, and you open your door, and the blinds come up, and your bed's made, and your gallery wall's there with your pictures of your kids, and the music, your favorite song is playing, with your jalapeno popovers coming out of the oven with, like, the most amazing fresh flowers you've ever seen. And she gives you the keys and basically says, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this. Who doesn't want that, people?
Well, that's the fun. Like, that is, we say, listen, everyone, we want our clients to do what they do best, and that's what their job is. Whether that job is a, stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, or CEO of a company, anything. Your time is money, and what we do is, that value is where we come in, and we're doing it for you right the first time, so you're actually making your investment really actually elongate over the long term. We want people to be able to walk into their home in 20 years and it feels fresh and timeless, right? And yeah, but the one thing that is so important is that we're not going to be a person where we're going to come in and say, this is how your house should look, because then I wouldn't have done my job. You know, that's why I need to know all about who you are. And that's why I don't think I think there is a common thread, because our mantra is that everyone should have a timeless foundation and then layer with, you know, infusions of your own personality. And then we think you should also do some vintage and antiques, very small. Even if you're a modern person, there's a way to do modern vintage, you know, because that way you can't replicate your place. So, but it's so important that we involve our clients where they need to be involved, and where they don't need to be involved, they just get a Monday update from us every week to be like, hey, this is what's going on with your project.
Monday updates.
Monday evening updates.
Yeah, that's
with a beautiful tracking spreadsheet. We love spreadsheets.
That's what sets you apart, I think, because that's an unusual combination to execute. I'm not saying, you know, no designers can do it, but she has a different way of doing it, and I can be a testimonial, because remember, I sell a lot of resales that have a lot of different designers in it, and it's a pleasure, and I get excited every time I can show a house that was done by Brynn, because it's an experience, and I get people pumped up about it, and it's not like a bad New Year's Eve party, like where they're like, really, this is what you're bringing me into. So it's been an awesome thing for someone that's selling homes. And now we talked about that, and you touched on that a little bit. You know, everyone always wants to know, like, what's trending, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I know you hate that word. If I know her, she hates, like, trends.
Trend does make me cringe just a little bit, just because I think the initial connotation to trend is that it's going to be fleeting, you know, in 6 months. And that's what we try to stay away from, because again, it comes back to our clients' investments. We want to make sure they're investing wisely. But there's always undeniable trends that are constantly happening. And so, you know, one thing that I think is so interesting. So I actually have a background in sociology, because I'm fascinated with how groups of people, like, it's so fascinating how groups of people can, you know, they change, they morph into what's happening in the world, what's happening in their home, which is like why I think interior design is so powerful. It's like my other thing about interior design people don't talk about is how powerful changing your interiors can truly change a family dynamic. It can change quality of life in so many different ways. The trends that we're seeing, you know, we're basically just coming out of the pandemic, and there are some undeniable things that are going on. And one of the biggest things that I think really intrigued me from all of this is an interesting shift in perception of home. Of course, people are spending more time at home, but that perception of understanding that what they wake up to every single morning actually enhances their mood, or the opposite, and what they see right before they go to bed, you know, what they surround themselves with. You know, I've heard so much feedback on, gosh, you've created certain spaces for us functionally, because we don't just do pretty things. We're like really talking about space planning. Space planning is so important. And like, my kids now all have a home to sit down and actually do their homework and have their space, and guess what? Their grades are getting better. Hey, we've rearranged this first floor a certain way that my husband and I don't fight about these things that we used to fight about and nitpick about, and like our kids like aren't fighting as much, and it's these interesting dynamics. So this perception of home, people are really now attuned in, because they were forced,
don't forget, why do you think the home edit? I mean, the home edit is like the most coveted thing. Everybody's talking about it, even the millennials.
Yeah.
So you're right. You're absolutely right.
So perception of home like really changed. And so what I'm seeing as a result are some of the trends are shifts in investing. So some of our clients that just like, we're really great about, stretching the budget, making sure we're doing high-low where it makes sense. And we really talk about financial priorities all the time. but we're seeing in renovations, in coming back and, adding on phases and rooms to do, or even new clients that have just brought us on, they're really interested in investing a little bit more because they understand quality is going to be that insurance in the long term, and it's going to really accentuate not only their home value, especially for renovations. We're seeing people that would go for a lower end finish that now are going for, that Calcutta gold that might be 3 times more expensive, but they are going to, number one, enjoy it, but number two, it also adds to their home value. So we're just seeing an increase in investment in certain areas. And one thing that is really, really interesting is that I've heard even before the pandemic is yes, if you space plan appropriately and you furnish appropriately, perfect scale and all that stuff, the resale of your home, I hear, our home sold on the block faster and for $100,000 more. It's one of our clients before they moved out of state. This was a couple years ago, and one of the husband and wife, he was not as involved, but his response was, hey, we got some additional money out of it we could have never foreseen.
Well, it's true.
And it's because it was done appropriately, it was space planned, and so people that were looking at the home could understand, because there's some kind of quirky corners. So when you not only invest in things that you don't think are investable, like furniture, but by the way, they are in the long term. So if you do it right the first time, you can have that sofa for 20 years.
You're right. I will add, I will say now that she says that, every house I've sold that had a Brynn Olson signature sold for list or more.
Really?
And I have another one coming on. It's a whisper listing, my friends. Stay tuned on Insta for that.
Yeah.
I'm not joking,
well,
I'm serious.
It's one of those things that, you never know how the market's going to go. And, it's just you don't know these things until over time, clients have to up and move or whatnot, and to get that feedback was something was unexpected for me. I hadn't,
We should do analytics on that. People always want to know data on that, but that's awesome. So let me ask you this. You talk about vintage, and vintage is the whole thing. Like right now when she's like high-low, I'm like, oh, does she mean I dress you go bananas on a Dior pair of shoes, and then you mix it with Zara.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, or Levi jeans that are timeless classic or whatnot.
Yeah. I just think also too, in 2019 people got obsessed with curated, coveted, most loved, edited. And that's what you're paying someone to do that has 500 eyeballs in their firm on lots of different things that you, the consumer, couldn't necessarily get your hands on for the value. These chairs. There's really cool things that add dimension to your life and the look.
Yeah.
You're really good at that.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. No, she's good, you guys. I'm just being honest with you.
I just, my love for vintage and antiques no doubt started at Nate Berkus Associates. I mean, I learned everything there is to know, all the collectibles and different styles and periods that we would put so much in clients' homes, and then of course curate along with custom pieces and stuff like that. But that it's undeniable where I got. I mean, that was my education. Is learning all that stuff. And also I just love history in general. I'm a nerd, like I said, and so naturally the history of furniture and what these pieces kind of represent. Oh, and by the way, they're still functional. They're not going to crumble in 2 seconds. Now, there's some that would crumble, but those are the things that you can admire because they are historical and they're almost like a piece of art in and of itself. But that's where my love stemmed from. And I always say every single room should have at least one conversation piece or at least one wow factor. And a wow factor doesn't mean a sparkly pink pillow that's jumps out in your face. Or super expensive. And a vintage or antique piece, it could be just maybe it's this little mirror that you so perfectly decide to mount in the middle of a window frame, or in the middle of maybe right here on a bookcase that's just a little bit more unique, but no one else can replicate that because it's one of a kind. That's what we're looking to do.
That's awesome.
So, and I don't think that that is necessarily super trendy. I hope that at all times, like, say if a client is traveling, like, look for something that, like, speaks to you, that like catches your heartstrings, or like an artist that's, on the corner, that maybe you're walking, along the river in Paris, and someone's selling their, like, €30
right.
piece of art. Like, snag those kind of things, because we want to fill your home with things that are
memories.
you. Yeah.
Memories.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. She did it all, you guys. This is Brynn Olson, and this is why we're here. So I hope you enjoyed this. Any questions? DM us, Brynn. Give them your Instagram handle.
Yes. So Brynn Olson Design Group. Not very creative in terms of the name, but yeah, come head over to us. You're always welcome to DM us, and I'm kind of an open book, so I'd love to hear from you.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're sweet.
I feel like just one thing she said, like, should we plug on that when she said we're going to fill your house with memories? Should you pull that into that moment when, and like, we have
that's
the
a
house
good idea.
that, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
And we could even edit and like, put it in there or something.
Okay. So, what's she saying? Tell her what to say.
She said, she just said that we want to fill your home with like memories, like things that you get from a trip. And we're doing this whole campaign on print and digital. It's called That Moment When, and it's all about how McKenna Group is all about the experiences, like the memories that you create in the home. So I feel like that's kind of like similar.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So go ahead and say it.
That's like totally.
Yeah. So you guys can talk about it a little bit, and we'll see if it
and
works.
maybe we can do stuff together. Okay.
Yeah.
So you say what
I
you
love
were
that
saying.
ethos.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is this still recording? Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
And again, we can use it or not. but
So yeah, I think one of the most important things is, we want to fill your home with your memories, whether it's a collectible from, a trip that you went on, or you send us, your whole Dropbox of memories of your family for 30 years, and we take those and we curate them into the picture frames we're putting around your home. You'll see black and whites of some beautiful memories. Memories in your home are what it's all about, and creating new memories as well as your family grows.
It's so funny, and it's just so serendipitous that you're saying this right now, because we did a whole campaign for 2021, and it was all about like the experiences that are created when you work with the McKenna Group, and we go in these houses, and it's an aha moment. And for a lot of times, it's something interesting that sparks their attention that you would never even think of.
Yes.
And a lot of it is what you're talking about. All the gallery wall of kids, and they see how happy they were in the house, or whatever they're interested in. It's that moment when you experience something that really kind of brings it all together. And that's what we do when we sell houses, and that's what she does when she designs them. That's why it's like a perfect combo.
So you're saying, like, when your clients are walking through and potentially looking at a new space, that they can actually put themselves in that house and foresee creating their own memories, because they're seeing, how the family before enjoyed, and like having that aha moment.
Absolutely. Or that aha moment when you never in a million years thought you would spend money on a Miele coffee maker, or a Bertazzoni or whatever, and you use it for the first time, and then they text me or screenshot and like, obsessed with this
life-changing.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy what some people do. Or like, a beautiful patio that has like the phantom screens that come down, and I'll show it to them, and they've never seen it before, and they're like, oh, that's cool, and then they use it, and they're like, we use this all the time, thank you. Or they jump in the pool for the first time, or they realize, like, up in the North Shore, they're a block from the beach, and they walk up there and they're like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. Like, just the experiences that are made in the house, out of the house,
and it enhances
your quality of life. Like,
that is so funny, because that I think that couldn't be more our ethos about what interior design is about. It's not just pretty things. We're talking about, like, truly how we are laying out your home. And by the way, we've done 5 office spaces. It's the same thing. It's how we shape that office space is actually we're creating behaviors, but also not only behaviors, but creating certain memories. If we have a certain, let's say we put a tete-a-tete in a family room. And
Tete-a-tete, you guys. Tell them what a tete-a-tete is.
Tete-a-tete means in French face-to-face. And usually it's one of these like pieces of furniture where it's like people sit face-to-face. However, more modern ones, there's like same back-to-back, just kind of open in the middle. Or a chaise, for instance. Everyone knows what a chaise is. And us like plopping that, or a daybed right in the middle of the family room where most people would be like, I would never put that. All of a sudden, we get a picture of like all 3 kids like plopped on it watching TV together, and that's their Saturday morning, and they use that. They don't use the sofa.
Right.
Like we get those all the time because of how we space planned and how the type of furniture we're putting in is like people are gathering in certain ways that maybe they didn't prior, and it's all about the experience of how you're enjoying your home together and having those life-changing moments. Yes.
I know. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, that was good. Should we do like one more of them?
They're slave drivers.
For, like,
I'm just gonna tell you that right now.
No,
This
this has been
just so
so
we can, like,
efficient with time.
They're psychos.
Okay.
It's awesome.
All you guys have to do for this is just be like, just thank her again. Be like, oh, thank you so much for chatting with us, just so we have some more to work with, because this is definitely going to get broken up into a couple different videos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was so awesome.
So fun.
I'm so glad that we finally get to sit down and see each other. I haven't seen you in a year, except on darn Zoom, and that gets old after a while. But it's really nice to get to know somebody, and I just can't endorse Brynn Olson Design Group enough. I think. You know, when I kind of get, I'm going to warn you guys. Like, if you ask me, I'll screen. You know, I'll text you and introduce her to you, and you will get that experience. She is very authentic, and I think that word is being so overused right now, but she really is authentic. And I think as important, I think the virtue of a good listener, she's mastered it. I'm still working on it, but she's mastered it. So thank you for everything.
Ditto. Seriously. Thank you.